Senior day goes according to plan at Desert Financial Arena as Arizona State is able to topple Utah 67-59. Welcome to the Devil's Digest postgame analysis. My name is Nick Borgia. Alongside me is our publisher, Hode Urbino. And Hode, on Thursday, ASU lost 67-59 to Colorado. Today, they win 67-59, and both games very similar in the sense that it was kind of a slugfest until the very end, except this time ASU able to go the full distance instead of just 35 minutes.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, Nick. I mean, I don't know how many games you see that the number of times that the game was tied is actually higher than the number of lead changes. I believe there were only 6 lead changes, but 11 times when this game was tied. So this game was not for the faint of heart, but I think you'd agree with me, Nick, that's pretty much par for the course when it comes to Arizona State basketball. It seems like it's always one step forward, 2 steps back, and we did see a lot of that from the Sun Devils. Whether it was senior day or more of a sense of urgency because they lost to Colorado just 48 hours earlier, I just felt that this team really came out with more of a purpose, especially in the second half. But nothing really comes easy for this team, but the grit, the resilience, which I know some of the worst cliches out there in sports, are still traits that Arizona State is able to display more oftentimes than not. That definitely helped them today.
So, Hode, you mentioned that offense really coming alive in the second half, and today, which has been different than most games prior, they're able to put up 40 points in the paint. However, only going 3 of 15 from three-point land. But I will say 2 of those three-pointers did come when it matters most, so I think at the end of the day, that's what you got to look at, right?
Yeah, and I think it's kind of like a glass half full, half empty, because when you score 67 points total, 40 of them in the paint, 8 of them came from the free throw line. By the way, shooting 8 out of 10, definitely not a typical stat from the Sun Devils. That means only 19 points came via jumpers. And like you said, the three-point percentage was nothing to write home about, just 3 out of 15. But the brothers Cambridge, Des and Devin, who were honored here on Senior Day among some 5 other players, do make those 2 three-pointers in the last 2 minutes and 19 seconds. Arizona State really was able to be on the beneficiary of a late run. If you remember against Colorado, they were outscored 17-3 in the last 5 minutes and 37 seconds. Today, they finished the game on a 12-2 run. Utah only had 1 field goal out of the last 7 attempts. Not that Utah really threw that much zone at Arizona State, but I felt when they did that, especially in the second half, the Sun Devils were definitely able to counter that. They did find Warden Washington in the sweet spot there in the middle of the paint. Washington's scored 18 points, but 14 out of those points that did come in the second half. So I think they did display some patience. I know, again, when you look at 3 out of 15 from three-point land, maybe that doesn't really indicate that much patience. But the fact that against a team like Utah, who has definitely quite a front court over there in terms of length to score 40 points, I think that was definitely very, very impressive. And again, that display of patience really helped Arizona State. They shot just under 55% in the second half. It seems like it's been a while since we've seen Arizona State shooting at that clip, especially when they had that real bad stretch of losing 4 games in a row. But nonetheless, I think that this definitely was maybe something for Arizona State to build, not only in the fact that they won, but the fact they're able to probably attack the zone today better than they have all season long.
And another similarity I want to point out from Thursday's game against Colorado to today's game against Utah, a massive turnover differential, 17 turnovers that the Utes committed today. Just another testament to show that ASU's defense is really doing its job, making opposing offenses' life difficult.
Yeah, and I don't want to be a Debbie Downer over here. 17 turnovers forced is a great number, but scoring only 20 points off those turnovers, I think really felt having Utah being left off the hook, so to speak. Again, I mean, I'm not taking anything away from the defensive pressure. I'm sure your highlights are going to show what a great job they did on this basket right there to our right with that half-court pressure. I mean, Utah just did not have an answer for it whatsoever. ASU was able to generate a lot of turnovers, a lot of points, but again, if they did a little better job in scoring more points off of turnovers, I think this 8-point advantage that they had when the final buzzer sounded could have been easily double that. But overall, I think that their defense was pretty solid in the second half. Utah shot just under 40%, but again, going back to that stretch at the end of the game, making only 1 field goal out of their last 7 attempts, it definitely was that pressure by Arizona State that really did frustrate them. And look, I mean, we've been saying all season season long. I mean, if there's one thing that is consistent about this Arizona State team, and maybe there aren't too many consistent things about this Sun Devil squad, when they play elite defense, their offense absolutely feeds off of that. And again, even though it fed off in maybe a much different way than it did in a lot of other games, like I said, just an enormous amount of points and a pain from a team that's not really all that long, having a real tough time from beyond the arc. But their defense with their pressure and their forcing the turnovers came really handy against a team like Utah, who just was not able to handle the pressure. I guess you really give credit to the scouting of the ASU staff. They probably identified something in previous games for the Utes to be able to exploit quite a bit today at Desert Financial Arena.
So we spoke on Thursday about that very difficult upcoming schedule for the Sun Devils. So they're able to check off the box with Utah today, but from here on out, they're on the road for the rest of the season. So it all starts next weekend with the trip down south to Tucson.
Yeah, I mean, coming into tonight, ASU was in a three-way tie, I believe, with Utah and Oregon. Today was actually the only meeting between both of these teams, so ASU does have the tiebreaker right there. Against Oregon, it's a whole different story, because even if ASU and Oregon did finish with the same Pac-12 record, then the next metric that you do examine is who is the highest rated team in the conference settings that you beat. And Oregon did beat U of A and also did beat USC. So ASU, some way, somehow, is going to have to make sure that they finish one game better than Oregon. I don't have the schedule in front of me, but suffice to say that the last few games for Oregon are not even close in terms of degree of difficulty of what Arizona State has. Like you said, a week from today, a game against U of A in Tucson, and then on the road against the LA schools. We'll see if ASU some way, somehow can really pull a miracle and win maybe one or even two of those three games to really secure their spot in the top four in the Pac-12. That does give you the first round bye in the Pac-12 tournament. If you have any aspirations of going deep into the Pac-12 tournament, let alone winning it, obviously if you're playing just Thursday through Saturday rather than Wednesday through Saturday, you really do increase their chances. I think you can look at a lot of games like we did 48 hours ago that lost to Oregon. That definitely hurt, and I know maybe I said it a million times already, but losing those two games in the state of Washington, that was probably just a massive blow that Arizona State is going to have a really hard time to get off the mat and counter that. But we'll see if maybe how the way they played today can maybe create some kind of momentum for a very, very tough road game in Tucson. I think that Arizona State, when it's all said and done, is probably going to finish fifth, just outside of the top four, and we'll see what that means, for the Pac-12 tournament. We'll see what that means just for the bubble of the NCAA tournament. But I think there's definitely some positives that you really can take away from today. And again, just going back to my earlier point, the biggest thing is that how patient they were on offense when the three-point shot was not falling for them at all. Maybe, just maybe, that's one trait that they can really take forward and really shock, I guess, the Pac-12 basketball world, which I think a lot of folks right now are just not thinking that Arizona State, again, with that grueling three-game schedule that they have left, have any chance of finishing in the top four in the conference. But that's why they play the games.
Alrighty, Hode. So as I said, it all starts next weekend as ASU heads down south to take on U of A. Devil's Digest will have all the coverage, so keep it locked in at DevilsDigest.com. Also drop a follow at Devil's Digest on Twitter. And until next time, my name is Nick Borgia. That's our publisher, Hode Reno. We thank you so much for tuning in. We'll see you next time.